Hey everybody, Paul Abernathy here. Welcome back to another episode of Fast Tracks Live. Today we're going to be looking at some images that I posted over on various social media platforms. And to be honest with you, when I post images of certain things, certain installations, I already know that it's going to create a lot of buzz and controversy, and everybody's entitled to their opinions. So I post these, and I will tell you, some people go really far in their opinion, and they're entitled to it. Now, I'm trying to tell you, when I tell you something on these social media, it's probably where your electrical inspector is going to go. So again, but you're entitled to your opinion, and welcome it. I'm not entitled to have to listen to your opinion because I don't all the time. But again, and you can choose not to listen to mine if you want. But we're going to look at some of these illustrations and talk about them a little bit. Because I don't do a whole lot on TikTok, but it is one of the easier platforms for me to share content quickly and then share it at other platforms in that kind of what we call a vertical, straight up and down type of platform. I don't do a lot on Instagram as well. But one thing to remember on all of my social media channels, it's at Master the NEC, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, or whatever. That's typically what you'll see posted by me using at Master the NEC. All right, before we get started, I do have to make some announcements for sales. We do have the minimalist wallets in different colors. Not all the colors are posted, but we do have a big variety of them over there. These are available not only in Master, Electrician, but Journeyman. If you don't see one in the color you like, just ask. We'll tell you. We have them in green, blue, or whatnot. If you make an order and you want something like a green, a blue, something like that, we'll tell you whether we have it or not. But we do know we have orange and red and all that. So you can go right here to this website and you can find about our minimalist wallets. I love mine. Another thing is some of these novelty plates. Again, they are anodized aluminum plates. A lot of people are putting them in their window of their car. Some of them are just putting them in their office. You can actually have these customized with your name, your license number, whatever you want on them. And we have a bunch of different designs available. So check those out. One of the more popular ones, believe it or not, and I know you're going to probably get offended if I post this, but again, don't care about people's feelings or opinions, is this one, FAFO. You know what it says. You can see it. But we also have one for the less triggered, screw around and find out. We do have one of those available as well. So you can also check that out. And we will customize it and add your name, a license number, or whatever you want to it. But check that out over on our website. Also, update all of our Fast Track students. We have the latest, tore up my screen there. We have the latest calculation forms available in our program. So again, these are for helping you do calculations, and I'm screwing up my green screen by doing that. Sorry. All right. So let's look at these illustrations and kind of work our way through a few of them. And some of these are more controversial than others, but we'll kind of look at. Some of them are just plain no-brainers, right? All right, so let's look at this one here. All right, here's the first one we're looking at. Oh, by the way, the coupon code is still active up there if you want to get subscribed to Fast Tracks Tube. That's our video platform. It is included with the enhanced and the plus packages on our website. You do have to follow the instructions. You don't just instantly get access to it. Okay, it's a totally separate website. But if you want to get it, use that 50 off code, and it's still active right now. You get 50% off all of our videos, and you also can get in line for our new calculation series that's coming out. Plus, there's an 8-hour video up there of just calculations that's worth the price alone if you're preparing for an exam. So that's worth it alone. Okay, so don't bitch about the content because you don't have any say in that. It's just videos that we share, things that we've done, and either enjoy it, or if you don't want it, don't get it. It doesn't bother us either way. All right, so let's look at this video. So this one I posted over on TikTok. And of course, obviously, this is the first one of a no-brainer, right? So this one here, obviously, they're coming up, and I don't know how to get rid of this stuff, so bear with me. I don't want to go look at the analytics. So anyway, so this is it right here. I'll just click play. Notice how the cable came up and turned really tight. So this is a bending radius issue. Now, I get it. We take individual conductors once we get into a box and we bend them. And everybody said, what's the big deal, right? Well, we don't have maintained bending radiuses on single insulated conductors inside the NEC until you get over 1,000 amps. I mean, 1,000 volts or higher, not amps, volts. So typically you refer to the manufacturer. However, when it does come to cable assemblies, we do have guidance in the NEC. So in this one, Article 334, which is non-metallic sheath cable, obviously dot 24, which is the section that deals with bending radius, states pretty clearly that in this case, you're not going to bend it more than 5 times the diameter of the cable. Now, in the 2023 code, we made it very clear which diameter you're going to be using. And so we can go to the NEC and see what that says for this bending radius application. Again, just don't do this. Now, in this case, this is actually an install that I went to, so I witnessed this. They went up and turned and came back down. This was the only incident that they did this in that whole dwelling. And this was a 7,000 square foot dwelling. All right, but still, there's no need for that to bend it that tight in that scenario. So let's go to the lesson real quick, and we'll see what that looks like. So here we are in the National Electrical Code. Notice it says 334, that's non-metallic sheath cable. You ought to know that by now. It says bending of type NM and NMC. And oh, by the way, the NM and NMC, the NMC is for corrosive environment. Most manufacturers don't make that anymore. They tell you to use the UF-B. And also, you'll notice it doesn't say NM-B. You got to go to 334.100 and start seeing some of that rules for the -B and what it means as far as the insulation on the conductors inside of the cable are rated 90 degrees C. So you can use the 90 for adjustment and corrective purposes as long as the N value doesn't exceed that of the 60 degree. If that was totally over your head, then you really do need to take advantage of our 50% off and go to Fast Tracks 2, because I have a great video in there that talks about adjustments and corrections. It's called Derating Demystified. In fact, there's an older edition and our newer edition for the 2023s over there. So if that was over your head, you need to go get in that. And that's worth the price alone. $49 if you use a 50% coupon code. Come on, no brainer. Maybe you just don't want to help us out. That's fine. If you're a hater, then don't do it. We don't care. But if you want to learn, that's a great platform. All right. So here's what it says. And I'm going to kind of mentally prepare you here for it. It says the bending, and I'll go there right here, the bending of type NM or an NMC, and you notice this NM also would be, again, NM-B, B being the conductors inside are rated 90, only for adjustment and corrective purposes, by the way. And where do you get that? 334.80, in case you were asking. Okay, you can go look at 334.80. All right, it says, so shall be made. So bends on the NM and NMC cable shall be made so that the cable will not be damaged. So that's the first part. Well, obviously, if you bend something, inspector sees it and it's evidence of damage, well, then that's a problem. Okay, and we're gonna make you replace it. Okay, so that's a no-brainer. Now it says the radius of the curve on the inner edge of the bend during or after the installation shall not be less than 5 times the diameter of the cable. Now, for additional clarity, in the 2023 edition of the NEC, you see this is all grayed out. They added this additional language that says, oh, by the way, for flat cables, an example of that would be like what you see in the pictures that we had. That'd be a 12-2, 14-2, 10-2. That's typically the flat cable. It says for flat cables, the major diameter dimension of the cable shall be used to determine the bending radius. What does that mean? All right, well, let's bring it back to me real quick. All right, so The major diameter. So in a non-metallic sheet cable, you have a flat one, by the way, is the flat dimension, you have the short dimension, and then you have the long dimension. Okay, so the longer dimension is the major. The short side is the minor. Okay, so the lesser of the dimensions. So you're going to actually use the flat major diameter for that. Now, where you get that information, you go to the manufacturer. All manufacturers of non-metallic sheet cable actually have product sheets that give you these dimensions on their product sheets. Pretty straightforward. And of course, you can measure it out if you want. Caliper, if you want to do all that, why not just go to the manufacturer and get it? I can promise you all the major manufacturers will give those values. And so what do? Well, basically you take that major diameter, right? And you multiply it by 5. And you have to maintain that bending radius. So let me give you an example. So let's say I took the diameter and it ended up being 2.5, or 2.5 inches, okay? So the point where the bend starts and the point where the bend ends, the curve, if you're bending the cable, right? The point where the bend starts and the point where the bend ends, this radius cannot be less than 2.5 inches. Now, think of it this way. It's like bending it around a ball that is a 5-inch diameter, okay? So it goes from one side to the other, right? The diameter of it measured across the ball. So from the center to the outer perimeter, that is your radius, which is half of the diameter, right? Okay, and then we're not talking circumference, that's all the way around. We're just talking the diameter across the ball. So bending it around, so basically it's like taking your ball, going in the center, and that radius from the start of the bend to the end of the bend, on a 5-inch diameter, half of that is 2.5. So it's like bending that cable around a 5-inch diameter ball. And that's going to be making sure that your radius is not less than 2.5. Okay, so think of it that way. Now, in our image right here, nobody should ever debate this. This is pretty straightforward, that this is just bending it too tightly. And again, you have some people who will say, but yeah, in a box, don't we bend them tighter than that and push them back? Well, that is the single insulated conductors, and we don't get any guidance for that in the NEC, believe it or not. Now, where do you get guidance for bending conductors, single insulated conductors? You can also reach out to the manufacturer and they'll give you recommendations, but that's not in the NEC until you get over 1,000 volts. Okay. All right, let's see here. Let's see if we've got another image over here to look at. Oh, check this one out. So this image here, I posted, actually, let's see here. Let's go this right here. That's just fine. But let me see if I got the image before that. Hold on, let me go back and get to the original image here, guys. And that way, here we go. Let's go this one right here. So this is the original image right here. And oops, let's just make sure it stops. Okay, let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. No, it's not gonna let me blow it up. Okay, all right, well, you can get this image by going over to our, why is it still scrolling? Hold on, folks. Let's look at this, see if it'll stop. No, it freaking ain't gonna stop. Hold on, let me see if let's go and go to this one now. All right, I'll pause it real quick. Okay, so this image I posted had to do with running a bunch of cables together, not maintaining spacing for over 24 inches. Now, this is interesting because over on the Facebook page, this caused quite a bit of controversy from people. Look, is there any way in your mind that you look at this cable, and everybody wants to use the term bundling, but bundling doesn't appear anywhere in 310.15c1. Okay, it doesn't appear. It just says that where you have multi-conductor cables, and we'll go look at it, it says where you have multi-conductor cables, if you don't maintain the spacing, then you're going to have to do adjustments for the number of current carrying conductors. So some people say, well, what's the maintaining spacing? And they want to make this harder than it is, really, they do. Sometimes they want to just burn too many brain cells. Is there any doubt in your mind, and I know this is hard to see, is there any doubt in your mind that right here, this bundle here, we'll call it a bundle because I believe this is more than 40 inches. And there is a new definition for bundling, cable bundling in the NEC. But I believe this is based on the size of these 2x6s and, the spans here and the widths. And if I were to turn these on the side, I could probably tell. Anyway, we're not getting able to use the term bundling here. We're talking about maintaining spacing. Does anybody think that in this grouping here, where these studs or these joists or whatever it is are holding them together, that they're not touching in this bundle here? I keep calling it bundle because that's what we're used to calling it. Is there any thought that in this grouping of cables that they're not touching, that they're not maintaining separation? Come on, people, really? You're stretching or you're wanting to stretch. And if you can win that argument with your inspector, you go for it. But again, you want to make things more difficult than it needs to be? That's up to you. But let's go on and look at the code on this, and we'll see what we're looking at. So I'm going to go to the code. So what I referenced, or what we're referencing is 310.15c. Now let's read what it says so that we're all on the same page right here. Let's see if we've got that on the screen. Here we go. I'm not blocking it. Good job. All right, it says more than 3 current conductors. It says the ampacity for each conductor shall be reduced as shown in table 310.15c1, and that's the table below. We'll look at it. It says where the number of current conductors in a raceway or cable exceeds 3, right? Or, so this is dealing with the individual cable, and this is dealing with the raceway where we have conductors in a raceway, okay? Then it says, or were single conductors or multi-conductor cables not installed in raceways, which is exactly what we're talking about with these cables that are grouped together like that. All right, so where they're not installed in raceways are installed without maintaining spacing for a continuous length longer than 24 inches, okay? All right, so is there any doubt in your mind that that grouping of cables, that they are maintaining a spacing, right? You think they're maintaining the spacing? They're not. They're touching, especially those cables that are inside of the grouping there, because there's a bunch of them, right? And again, as you've heard me talk, it only takes, once you get over 4 cables, then you have to start looking at the impacts that really can affect the amount of current that those conductors can carry. Now, couple the fact that this could be in a situation where they're later going to insulate it, those type of things. And then you've got the rules also that you got to follow in 334.80 that you have to follow again. And that's going to also reduce the ampacity of the conductor once they come in contact with thermal insulation. So, or going through bored holes that are actually going to be thermally filled, right? And I don't know that these are in this case here, but at the end of the day, is there anybody in anybody's mind in that assembly that we showed that you have those multi-conductor cables they're not going to be installed in raceway and they're installed without maintaining spacing for a continuous length longer than 24 inches? No. Okay. So you're going to have to do what? There's going to be an adjustment that takes place. Okay. All right. So in this case, they are not maintaining that spacing. Okay. All right. So when you go down here, obviously that's going to take you down to this little nifty table here. And again, once you get over the 9, you got that 70% that you're going to have to come into play. 4 to 6, 80. Okay. 7 to 9. Even at 70%, you're still going to be okay if you're not more than 9. You start getting over 9, then you're going to have a problem because then it takes you 50%. So that takes a conductor, even if it was a 12 gauge, right? And you can use what? The 90 degree for adjustment and corrective purposes, because that's what it says in 334.80. If I can do that, you take a 12 gauge is good for 30, you cut it 50%, now it's only good for 15 amps. Well, I can't put that conductor on a 20 amp overcurrent device because now it only has a rating of 15 amps. Now, what if I'm running it to a circuit that requires a minimum of a 20 amp circuit? And you've got all kinds of problems going on. So why would you do this? Because not only is everybody concerned about whether or not the ampacity of a conductor, if any of these cables are now supplying 20 amp branch circuits that are protected at 20 amps, but now they only have an ampacity of potentially 15 or less, because there's quite a bit more in those groupings there in that picture that we shared. It's really going to affect the code, and those circuits that you're running that maybe are the small appliance branch circuits, maybe it's the laundry circuit, things like that. Are they now going to be actually 20 amp branch circuits? No. So look, at the end of the day, it's important that you understand those type of things. Okay, so we'll go back over here. And so that's what this one was. And of course, I explained this in a follow-up video. And this is me talking with the floating head right here about it. But you can check that out. That is over on our TikTok channel. I'm not a big fan of TikTok, but it is over there. Let's see what else we got that I talk about. Oh, here's an interesting one. All right, so check this out. So this was during an installation. I actually did this inspection and looked at it. And what they've got is they ended up putting these adapters on beside two panels that were sandwiched in a 2x6. They bored the whole spacing between the panels, and then they put these two adapters on each end, right? And then these adapters on each end, they were planning on pulling single insulated conductors from one cabinet to the other cabinet. And you'll notice that this is not a raceway. So the single insulated conductors have to be on a raceway. Well, if you look into the hole, you can actually see the framing member, the wood. So we're going to have single insulated conductors that are going to be run without being in a raceway. That's not a problem. I mean, it's not a problem. That's a huge problem. Okay. Next, the thought was they're going to run cables through it. Well, that's a problem, because now you're not meeting the rules of securing the cables to the enclosure, because you're just pulling them back and forth through the opening. So then that's an issue of 312.15c, right? So that ends up being a problem, okay? So that's just another example of one that why would you do this? Of course, I give a reference of 310.10, which is uses permitted. This is basically 310 for conductors, and it's basically just giving you a reference. You could probably find many more. But this one says, conductors described in 310.4 shall be permitted to be used in any of the wiring methods covered in Chapter 3. This is not a wiring method at all. This is just an adapter on each side trying to pull single insulated conductors through a cavity or through the stud. That's not going to work. Okay. So anyway, believe it or not, I did see this on an installation. Okay. So that's what we were talking about there. So that's what that image is about if you happen to be on our TikTok page. Let's see. What else do we got? We have other ones here. Let's see here. Oh, here's a good one. Okay. So this one here tends to confuse people on what we're talking about here. And so this is a good one to go over. So the code says that a cable is considered secured and supported where it's running through a framing member horizontally, right? So you don't have to secure it. You don't have to support it. It's considered secured and supported as long as your framing members are not more than 4.5 feet, because that's the rules in 334.30 for supporting, right? Or securing every 4.5 feet. So, okay, and it's considered supported and secured. The moment that it comes out of those framing members and it's no longer going horizontal, it's now a vertical installation. And it makes it very clear in the code in 334.30 that in a vertical application, that cable is not considered secured and supported. Then you have to now follow the rules that normally you would have under the general rule, which is securing it. In this case, is a double gang box. It probably that's a single gang box, but it does have a built-in connect clamp type of system. So you could go up to 12 inches. But if it wasn't, it's just a knockout, then you'd have to secure it within 8 inches, right? In this case, the vertical portion, we need to have a staple or strap or something on that you cannot use that horizontal hole, because that is not meeting the rules in the vertical. Where does it say that? Okay, well, let's go back to the code and let you look at that. All right, so here we are at the code. And again, you might think, Paul, you're getting kind of nitpicky on that. But I mean, you do you. I'll just give you my opinion. You can agree to disagree. It's fine. All right. So here's what we're looking at in the code. So this is 334.30. And you'll notice that you have your general rules securing 4.5 feet and then 12 inches for every entry, yada, yada, yada. Okay. But now you see horizontal runs through holes and notches. Okay. So it says in other than vertical runs. I don't know how much more clearer that I can make this to people, that the moment that that came out of that framing member, it is now going where? It's going vertically down. Just ask yourself, is that box lower than the vertical hole? Is it going down? Yes, it is. So at this point, notice how it says the horizontal runs through holes and notches. It says in other than vertical runs. It says cables installed in accordance with 300.4 shall be considered to be supported and secured where such support does not exceed 4.5 feet and the non-metallic sheath cable is securely fastened in place by an approved means within 12 inches of each box. Okay, so even in this horizontal application, running through the framing members is considered securing and supporting. But it makes it very clear that even in that case of the horizontal run, that the non-metallic sheet cable has to be secured in place by an approved means within 12 inches of the box, cabinet, conduit body, or other non-metallic sheath cable termination. So that in itself tells you that that bored hole cannot meet this application when it comes to terminating at the box. You have to have some type of approved means. Once it gets into those horizontal framing members, then it's considered secure and supported as long as there's no spacing between these studs, for example, that is more than 4.5 feet, right? So it's very clear that it says right in the beginning of it, in other than vertical runs, okay? So, but then even in the code language, it tells you, oh, well, we'll let this be considered, but it still has to have an approved means securing it within 12 inches of the box. None of that is in this illustration, okay? Letting you see that picture one more time. This is why I called this out, okay? So it's still, even though this is supported and secured running horizontally, right? This portion still has to have something that's approved securement within 12 inches, okay? So nothing is here. And this is not an approved means. This is just the bored hole. This is okay for considered securing and supporting horizontally. But you have all those little rules in there. So I need to bend this down, put a staple on it right here, strap, whatever you want, tie wrap, it's fine. But it has to be within 12 inches, okay? Now, remember, if this was a knockout and it was totally knocked out and this box was a 4 by 2.25 box, then it'd have to be secured within 8 inches, right? But anyway, you get the gist of it. So this is an illustration that I posted, and it caused, again, a lot of controversy on the different social media platforms. And you can agree to disagree if you want. That's totally up to you. And as I tell people all the time, you keep doing you, boo. I'll do me, and we'll just go from there. Let's see, what else do we got here that's a good one? Oh, here's a funny one. So check this out. So I know you've all done this. Look, I know you have. Is somebody said, well, I don't have any strap on me, right? And typically the straps for the SE cable, or in this case, the SER, would accommodate only one SER. So they're like, screw that. Or rather than put two larger staples and put it side by side, they said, man, I'll just take some of the sheathing from a 10-2 and I'll just do it this way. First of all, non-metallic sheath cable is not listed or even evaluated to be a securement method, okay? And I doubt that that staple was designed to work in this fashion. Is this going to work? Yeah. Is this going to hold in place? Certainly. However, this is something that might have done in the past, but right now with so many available ways to do this, you could have put a staple up there with a tie wrap and tie wrapped them and then let the staple hold the tie wrap. Some people argue that that's not what the staple is designed for with the tie wrap, but I'd much rather see you do that or put two separate staples or two separate straps than I would see you do something like this. I get it. You do you, and if your inspector allows you to do it, I'm not here to judge your inspector and tell him what they should and shouldn't do, but I typically, I don't do that. Okay, that type of thing. I'd get me a staple, or I would probably use a tie wrap to do that. But you do you. People can say, well, the tie wrap might not be right either. Whatever. If you want to do that with the sheathing, you go for it. Let's see, what else did I show some pictures in here for? Oh, here you go. Here's one. So this picture, people say, well, what am I showing on this one? This is an example where you do not secure non-metallic sheath cables on their short dimension. So this is on its side, right? And again, that is also covered. We can go look at the code for that. And you should know this, by the way. Just, I shouldn't have to go to the code for you to know this, but we'll go look at it. So here we are in the code. People say, where does it say that? Where does it say that? So here's right here. Okay, let's go to right here. Now, right here. Right there. I'm sure y'all can see that. It says, flat cables shall not be stapled on the edge. Now, folks, I just did an inspection, and I probably found the electricians doing this 100 times. And the good news is they didn't drive the staples home so bad that it looked like it crushed it. But there's a reason for this. And part of the testing that manufacturers of wire and cable have to do is crush an impact. So when they slam this hammer against this staple, and when they're stapled on the edge like that, on the short edge, it causes the insulation to get compressed into the equipment grounding conductor that's in between. And it can cause the insulation to get flattened. And again, it gets flattened, it can cause it to crack on the end that gets expressed or bulges out inside of the cable assembly. And if that's the case, again, you could have issues where it crushes it and then it comes in contact with the equipment ground. And then guess what happens? Your AFCI devices trip and all this kind of crap. And you want to blame the AFCI device, but you don't know where to find it because this thing is embedded in the wall somewhere. And everybody wants to blame the AFCI device for doing its actual job, right? So luckily, non-metallic sheath cable is pretty resourceful, even when you do miss your staple, it's pretty good. But there was an NFPA study that came out that showed way more damage than you think when you miss a staple or you try to do this. This one was a bit excessive, and so we loosened it up. But at the end of the day, why would you do that? Unless you're just in such a freaking hurry, okay? Are you in such a hurry that you're putting everything in and you can't lay them flat and put the staple in? So when I ask these things and people say, well, isn't this a nitpicky thing, Paul? I'm like, dude, look, you getting paid good money. Electricians is a profession. Do it right, okay? Do it right. No reason to half-ass it, okay? I don't know. Take a little pride in what you do. That's my thought in the process. But what do they say? Everybody says I'm a hack anyway. So anyway, all right. So let's see here. Let's see if I've got any other images that I want to show. Oh, by the way, these are a lot of my videos that are over on my website. So go check them out. Okay. Some of them might offend you. That's okay too. I'm an equal opportunity offender. Okay. So, I get it. But that's just some of the images I want to show you. There are available over on our TikTok, which is @MasterTheNEC. But that's my @MasterTheNEC is what I use on everything. So check them out. You never know what I'm going to post. Make sure you subscribe. You never know when I'm going to go live or share a video. And also, lastly, I do want to remind you again about our mobile app. If you do not have our mobile app, it's free. It's got calculators on there. It's got a chat feature that you can chat just to people that have the app. It's got so many things. So when you download it from our website, you just go to our website. Here's the URL right here. You'll see in the navigation, it'll say mobile app. If you're on your phone, you just click on the link and it'll pop up and say, do you want to save it to your phone? Yes. You're not going to download anything. It's just a link. but it puts an icon on your phone. And if it asks you, do you want to be notified? Click yes, because we can send you notices, state changes, emergency notices, things like that. We promise not to spam you. That's not our goal here. And so there you go. But you click it. Once you have it, you click it, and it will load our mobile app. And there's so much on here. If you're a Fast Tracks Tube subscriber, you can actually click on that and get access to our video platform directly from the app. If you want to go to our forum where you're going to ask questions about the course you're in, then you can click the little forum button, and that'll take you to our website where you can post questions. Okay, so we have that support. One of the neat things with our app is the calculator and the resources. So check resources. When you click on the resources, check this out. These are all resources. There's tons of calculators in here, motor calculators, transformer calculators. There's even a quick link to Ask Paul when you want to ask me questions directly. There's flat rate pricing calculator in there. That's a free program. Box fill, all kinds of stuff in here. Arc flash calculator is in here. You're dealing with NFPA 70E or whatnot. What else is in this thing? Gosh, there's motor conductor sizings. There's three-phase Z resistance calculator. That's for Chapter 9, Table 9 for all you engineers out there. There's motor fuse sizing, generator calculators, motor overloads, motor locked rotor current calculators, bending calculation, offset calculators. Wow, so much resources. There's also another calculator in here that has all kinds of conversion tables. So it lets you convert kW to watts and blah, 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 although that should be easy for you. But that's in there. So much stuff going on in here. You can also get to our live chat feature, which is right there. And I post images, and we have other members who post stuff on here. So that's a neat feature. You can also get access to your course from here, although the course that we offer is not a mobile app. This only gives you access, a quick link to the website, which our website is mobile adaptive. So it's just like it's the mobile app. So for example, if I wanted to go to the basic courses, I just click on that and it takes me to the login on our website. That's for the basic and enhanced. And if you want to go to the Fast Tracks Black or Plus, it takes you to your normal Cengage login. Okay. So that's all it really is a shortcut. We're always adding new things to this mobile app. Okay. So make sure you get it. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. And you don't have to update it. We'll update it for you. And that's why we use the web version, so that every time you log in, it's automatically going to be current. So make sure you get it. It's a free resource. Doesn't cost you anything. We're not trying to push any sales down your throat. It's free. Okay. Also on our website, we have free courses. We have exam prep primer to kind of gauge where you're at and see how your knowledge is. And we have what's called boxes and enclosures. That's a free program that we also have over on our website. Where? fasttracksystem.com. Of course, we'd love to have you in our program as well. But anyway, follow me on the social media. Again, if you're interested in any of our products, our swag, our hats, things like that. Again, we have these minimalist wallets. Show your pride as a master electrician, journeyman electrician, whatnot. If you're interested in any of these types of neat little commemorative type of license plates, just holler at us. We'd love to have you. Just go to our website, fasttracksystem.com. You'll see the link to the store above. We'd love to have you. All right, folks. Appreciate you all. Till next time, stay safe. God bless.